So you want to be able to solve problems like Elon Musk, right? Well, this video is for you because I read the entire Elon Musk biography and I'm going to share with you my key takeaways that we can apply to our lives to achieve outsized results. One of the most distinct things about Elon Musk is how he approaches every problem, whether it's business or relational, like it's an engineering problem. And this might be good or bad, but in the book, one of the things that was mentioned repeatedly was this 5-part process that Elon called the algorithm. Now, this 5-part algorithm was something that Elon preached repeatedly. The 5 parts of this algorithm are question requirements, delete unnecessary parts, simplify and optimize, accelerate cycle time, and lastly, automate. Elon ended up butting heads with governments by doing things like reopening his factories during COVID lockdowns and appealing dozens of FAA regulations. What was interesting to me was how he and his team would continually ask why, and then why, until they got to the root of the requirement or the regulation that they were looking at. Oftentimes, when they did get to the bottom of things, they could find that they were able to delete the requirement or delete the part. And that leads to the next part of the algorithm, which is to delete all unnecessary parts and processes. One thing that Elon did in the biography that would aid in this step is to assign every single part in his designs to a particular person. See, in the past, they would have been assigned to a department instead of an individual, and that way there could be a lot of blame shifting, and it took much longer to figure out whether a part was actually really needed. And that way, when it was time to question requirements, he could contact that individual person and have that person explain to him why that part was necessary. Now, the third step in the algorithm is to simplify and optimize. Now, to me, this is pretty self-explanatory. Most people will jump in right to this step before deciding whether or not a part or process even needs to exist in the first place. And when Elon's employees would jump to this step, he would always push them back to step 1 and 2, and oftentimes they would end up deleting the part before ever needing to simplify or optimize. And that brings me to the 4th step in the algorithm, which is to accelerate cycle time. Now, what does this mean? It really just means that Elon would set insane deadlines for his team. And to his detriment in the biography, Elon only made a fraction of these deadlines, even when he would stay up all night with his engineers and sleep in conference rooms and factory floors. However, as a result of setting these ridiculous deadlines, this forced his teams to adhere even more to the first couple steps in the algorithm and to delete and optimize to the extreme while wasting as little time as possible. So the algorithm was my biggest takeaway from the Elon Musk biography, but as a worker in the tech industry, another big takeaway that I found was how Elon kept the engineering and the design teams in the same vicinity. See, traditionally, most engineers and design teams are kept in different parts of the building and they may communicate via email or Slack once in a while, but Elon always seems to keep his engineers and design team working in the same building. And what this does is it shortens the feedback loop and it allows the design team to get quick feedback on how their designs may or may not be physically possible or make sense in an engineering standpoint. One example from the biography that stood out to me the most that's related to this is how Elon had his engineers for the solar roof project actually get on a roof and install the panels that they had designed. And he did this because he was insistent that they were putting way too many fasteners in the design and it was slowing down the installation process. So he made all his engineers go out in the hot Texas sun and get up on the roofs and install the panels themselves. One thing that I took away from this as a tech worker is that when I am responsible for any cross-functional projects, I need to do extra work to try and shorten the feedback loops as much as possible to increase the efficiency of the project and ensure that the team is wasting as little time on things that will not work. Now, when it comes to leadership, the main thing that I took away from the Elon Musk biography is that Elon does not put his people first. Instead, he always prioritizes his company's missions. For SpaceX, this is to make humans a multiplanetary species, and for Tesla, this is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this leadership style. The negatives are obvious in that you end up hurting a lot of people around you when you lead this way. In the book, there were probably over a dozen examples of how Elon hurt his family, his really close friends, and loyal employees for the sake of his company's missions. And I think Elon saw all of this damage as unfortunate, but ultimately necessary for his company's missions. Now, on the other hand, because Elon leads like this, he attracts some of the world's top talent at a much lower price tag. Most of the people in the biography who stuck with Elon the longest were also mission-driven people, and they were able to put the company's mission above most other things in their lives, including their families. There were a lot of stories in the book about employees who would spend weeks at a time sleeping at work in order to make sure that they were meeting the insane deadlines that Elon was setting. This creates a culture of extreme alignment and high output for the missions that these companies had. Just look at what SpaceX and Tesla have done over the past 10 years. Now, in addition to all of the professional stories about Elon Musk, Walter Isaacson, the author of the biography, also included a ton of stories from Elon's personal life. I'm not going to share those in this video, but if you want to hear some of those stories, I would recommend that you go and listen to the Elon Musk biography yourself. I'm a pretty big Elon fan. And in this biography, I actually heard a lot of stories that I had never heard before, including a bunch about the recent acquisition of Twitter. So if you want to listen to the Elon Musk biography for free, click the link in my description to get an Audible free trial. By doing so, you will not only get to listen to the book completely for free, but you'll also be supporting this channel as we get $5 for every free trial that comes from that link. So thank you in advance.